Day 2 is complete. That freaking monitor was giving us trouble all day. Do not rent from sketchy vendor drug dealers. Captain's log, day 1. That's what this feels like. It is the end of our first day. I thought I'd do a little end of the day video dump to get my stream of conscious thoughts of how the day went. What could have been improved? Oh. That's premium. They left me a bottle of wine and a nice card. This is a very much a go with the flow kind of job. So trying to capture in the moment what we've got, it's a little bit more docu style. We don't have a lot of opportunities for multiple takes. I'm trying to curate the frames as best as possible and get pretty stuff going, but I have done enough of these kinds of jobs that I know better. It's not always going to be perfect. Learning takeaway today. We got a hookup on a wireless video feed and it's been buggy all day. Half the time the director's just looking over my shoulder because our wireless village isn't working. I brought most of the gear. I flew in with my camera and my sticks and some other camera attachments. We wanted to rent lighting and wireless video feed monitors here. The vendor came at us with a $2,000 bill, which was way over budget. So I told the director, hey, I've got a little bit of a hookup. It's not the greatest gear. I can't speak for the dude who's giving us the gear himself. That has been the takeaway today. We've gotten all of our shots, but I feel bad for the director. Even on these small jobs, I want the director to have a sense of what he's getting with the frame. Sweet day 1. I've got the rest of the day just to chill. I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm gonna take a shower. There's a cigar lounge right across the street. It's like the film gods knew that 1, I'd have extra free time today, and 2, I'd be looking for something to do. Cigars the rest of the day, probably Chipotle for dinner, and then bed, early day tomorrow. I have been on a mission to find the right bag, the right travel bag for my camera. Many Amazon purchases and returns later. I haven't really settled on anything. This is the best solution I have so far. It is my gym bag, actually. This is another Amazon find. It's like a $25 cheapo Chinese manufacturer. What I like about it is it's got a ton of pockets. I don't like backpacks. Makes me feel too youthful. I'm a tote guy. This has too many pockets to count an organizational key. When I'm working bigger jobs, I don't have to worry about this at all. My AC's got the camera figured out, but on some of these smaller projects, it was important to me that I knew I could throw the camera in there and we could go from location to location. This is all the pockets that I desire, and I think it's a good enough size, but it's a very thin material and the bottom doesn't have a lot of support. Enter my solution for this. I had some foam lying around from another Pelican case and I cut all that up, fitted it to the bottom, and then I cut a little insert that would allow me to put the camera with a lens on and slide it right in here. Last but not least, what I have found with all of these camera bag manufacturers, aesthetics are hit or miss. Most of the time they're ugly AF. I'm a fashion boy still. I want to feel comfortable. I don't want it to completely kill whatever outfit I'm wearing. This is neutral enough. It's not so nerdy that I look like I'm some kind of street journalist too. I'm itching to spend way too much money on a camera bag, but this works for now. No need to spend more money. The perk of being in a hotel is that you're supposed to have maids come in and clean up after you. Day 2 is complete. My captain's log. Get it off my chest today. That freaking monitor was giving us trouble all day. Same problem as day 1. Do not rent from sketchy vendor drug dealers. Second valuable lesson takeaway. There's 2 massive personal challenges with a travel job: nutrition and training. Start with the training because that can be kind of easy. Option number 1, just don't train. Life goes on. 2.5 days that I was gone, I was able to handle that. Instead of resting on my Wednesday, I actually moved that up. So I backloaded some rest days later on in my week. The potential bigger issue when traveling, for work in particular, is where the hell do I get my food? I'll always gravitate towards a pretty steep deficit, meaning I'm not taking in as much food as I normally would on those work days. The way I handle this with travel is I actually packed my breakfast and lunch. That's what I was able to do on this Monterey job. Packed a ton of protein bars, some fruit, and my boar's head deli meat. I kind of eat like an autistic kid a lot of the times on these jobs. I'm becoming a meme of myself on set. People know to expect this. A lot of jobs will provide food too. Very kind of you, but y'all don't know my protein demands. And the biggest thing is when I'm traveling, I don't want a mystery to what I'm going to be putting into my mouth. That causes a lot of stress. Priority number 1 is make the client really happy. But if I'm able to also make myself happy and have adhere to my longer term plans of having a decent body composition, continuing to build muscle mass, leg, arm, forearms, done. Brought my camera into the gym for the first time, got some looks, got a lot of questions, doing something hard. Back to the travel job. It's a challenge with the hybrid style shoot that this ended up being. I knew this getting into it. There's the documentary style projects, and then there's the very curated, shot listed narrative films. This was a little bit of a hybrid. It was an in-between. It wasn't the commercial shoot where we're getting 5 highly specialized curated shots throughout the day, nor was it the super run and gun. The challenge with that is it's hard for my brain to process what exactly is going on. Do I get to be the DP that I want and design the perfect frame? This was not the case. Trying to be able to, one, slow everybody down and say, hey, what is our time that we need to be out of this location? Because we're rushing a lot. There's a lot of moments like that where, hey, we're here for another hour, right, at this location. Can we slow down and get the shots? There was one example, we were shooting the lady in the really cool Thunderbird old car. The client and the director, they wanted the actress to get out of the car, take the jersey out of the car and put the jersey on. So they look at me and be like, we want that to be a close-up. I'm like, okay, what part of that movement that you described would you like to be a close-up? And I'm trying to break this down in palatable terms because they're very run and gun. They've got a lot of things on their mind too. My sole focus is just to create a good image, but I want to make sure that the client is happy too, that they get their close-up. But I know if I want to put my name on this, am I just following this lady in all these different movements, pull the jersey out of the car and then put it on her? At what point am I focusing on the jersey? Am I focusing on the lady's eyes, or is it her hands? I asked very kindly. This is a very teachable moment for myself, a namaste, slow it down. How can I make this where we're all happy? And I said, we've got the time. Would it be all right if we break this off into chunks? I think I've got a really cool shot of her hands grabbing the jersey, but let's just take this as a moment where her hands dip into the frame, into the car, and pick up the jersey, and we'll cut there. And then we'll stitch all of this together too, because I can guarantee you, and what they might not understand from my limitations is if I try to get all of this in one close-up, there's only going to be a section of this is usable, if at all. More than likely, because I'm trying to get everything, I won't get anything. In that moment, I was able to pick up that one shot of the lady grabbing the jersey out of the car, and
freaking nailed it. It was great. Everybody was happy, and it ended up being exactly what they wanted, so we eliminated the rest of that whole movement too. But I got the sexy, composed shot that my D penis we wanted. Day's done. Still have light in the sky. I'm happy, everybody else is happy. I'm going home tomorrow morning. What do I want for dinner? Who am I kidding? It's gonna be Chipotle again.
You ever accidentally stare at the ceiling for 8 hours instead of sleep? This is what the last month has been like for me. I have been documenting my life for a whole month now, and I have lost some sleep over it. There is one huge takeaway that I've gotten from this past month. I've learned that my time is my greatest asset right now. I've surprised myself in this past month. I am able to shoulder quite a bit. At least one more responsibility than I was holding on to prior to this. Knowing that I'm able to juggle both of these things and do so relatively successfully without what I feel is too much pressure or stress on myself, it's great. So it's gonna keep me going for at least another month, and we'll see what happens out of this. 1 month in.